I understand sometimes you just want to go to the movies, shut your brain off, and just. Hey everyone, my name is Max Aaron James. This review of the movie Meg 2, The Trench, written by John Hober, Eric Hober, and Dean Georgaris. And it is directed by Ben Wheatley. I feel the writers made a challenge of how many tropes or cliches they could fit into a single movie and try to deliver them in a way that maybe is entertaining. But I will say they did recognize what they are good at. Kind of. When the action came, it was actually fun. It was enjoyable. I laughed. I was like, oh, who are these animals going to tear up next? But it's when they started talking, when our characters took the time to provide some exposition or just connect in some way that we could do without that. Jason Statham returns, and I feel like in his contract, he has to fight because we got a couple fight scenes that I would argue at least one of them is not necessary. And of course, he's given a East Asian girl to protect. It's like his MO. There are some B and C, maybe a D plot, and those are kind of messy and lazily put into the story, but it contributes to the action sequence, extending them, making them kind of fun and maybe a little bit interesting because there's so much to deal with and face for our characters that we follow around. So I did enjoy that because once we got into the action, especially in the second half, it almost doesn't slow down, and that's where the fun comes in for a movie like this. This movie does remind me of Ghost on Mars or Ghost of Mars, which also had Jason Statham and Ice Cube. Not a great movie, but it is something that you recognize that you're just going to sit back, relax, and try to have fun. Just see what ridiculousness can go on in this movie. We do have our one black character playing the typical token who happens to also be comic relief and for some reason is also good at certain things, and he was portrayed or presented as the person who, because he is black, knows better than to do some dumb stuff, right? That's white people stuff. Whatever. There's also a subtle, not so subtle tease at a potential sequel or third movie, which, it makes sense with movies like these, see how well it does, how many people have fun with it, and then take the steps moving forward from there. The graphics are not at all great, but it did not ruin the movie. As a viewer, I know what I was going into, and at no point did it feel that they were trying to hide the graphics or the effects based on their budget. They wore them proudly, and I mean, we know this is not these characters are not real, but it was cool. And yeah, this movie did not need to be 2 hours long. The opening was unnecessary. You could argue it's to introduce these other creatures, but that could have been explained while they were in the trench, when they were underwater for maybe about 20 minutes, or at least it felt like 20 minutes of the movie. A lot of this movie was built up just to get us into the story, to create this world that we already are familiar with, to reintroduce us to characters, give us new characters, and try to build this connection and how they're all close to one another and the stuff that we honestly do not care about because that's not what we're here for. So it ends up being very Disney-esque connections and dialogue that is very poorly woven into the story. The filmmakers are getting an understanding of what they have here because introducing the giant octopus and these aquatic dinosaurs, I mean, it added to the entertainment. It added to the fun, right? Seeing people get mauled. I wish I saw more people get attacked though. That's one thing I really wish I saw. I wish this movie embraced the goofiness a bit more. I wish it saw, where it was in the lane. It's just fun. It's just entertainment. You do not need this deep characters and this Jason Statham playing again this character who has a not clearly understood and creepily deep connection with a girl that he is not at all related to, and that I'm not sure, it feels like they just met. I would not recommend watching this in theaters. It would probably be a good casual streaming film, something you could probably rent on a night you can't figure out what to watch. Then you'd probably have fun. Maybe sit down with your friends and talk to the screen. Anyway, until next time, y'all take care of each other. Be sure to check up on one another. Make sure you check up on yourself. And remember, potential has no limit.